Afterburner use is not required, based on the length of our runway, and we've had 100% of our takeoffs not using afterburner. So, that's the fact. With respect to gaming the system, that's just simply not true. I mean, when you look at the preparations that go into the environmental impact statement, the basing decision, it's really important that the assumptions are as accurately determined to reflect the location that the airplane's going to be flying at. And that's what was done. And I think if you look at it, it was valid. We're not using afterburner here. There's no requirement to do so. And you can't compare an F-35 to an F-16. It's a different airplane. And you can't compare Burlington, Vermont to Eglin Air Force Base, or Hill Air Force Base, or Nellis Air Force Base, or Luke Air Force Base, or Edwards Air Force Base that are flying F-35s. It's apples and oranges. There may be different procedures for those bases based on a number of different conditions, whether it's density, altitude. Maybe that base wants to use afterburner for their noise mitigation. Maybe there's less people close. There's a number of things, so it's not a fair assumption. I don't think for people at the Pentagon, and I don't even know what their expertise is. I don't know if that individual is a rated officer that's even flown an airplane that's ever used afterburner.
But you knew Nick Germanos.
I knew the name. I've never met him, but I know he was involved in it. So we didn't game the system. We as best we could accurately determined as best we could. Almost 10 years ago to start. That it was reflective of how we were going to operate the airplane. Here it is. We just shown it is. I mean, we're not using afterburner. I don't know how else to.
Yeah.
You should be happy about that. I mean,
I am. I just want to see it, to believe it. There's another email.
Come to the airport. You can see it.
Engelman to Nelson, and he's saying, Raleig's saying with munitions though, that it's not the standard way we fly and use the military power when we take off with musicians. That kind of change. It says, assuming the plane can depart with munitions at less than military power, that kind of change will not decrease the total size of the noise contour, but it may shift noise somewhere else. Any other changes mean we are just shifting the noise one place to another. So I just raise these things because that's my job, right?
But, no.
And so I wanted to have you respond to that.
I understand. I mean, I'm trying to we're not planning to use afterburner. And you can watch the airplanes take off and we're not. And when you look at the training that we're going to be operating, that we're going to be conducting here, with the configurations, it doesn't require it. Very, very rarely would we need to use afterburner, and we don't plan to. Other bases may not need to and do, just based on their conditions. That's their decision, but our decision is we're not going to use it, and it's not required. The regulation doesn't demand it, doesn't require it, and we don't plan to. So the assumptions were valid, and we've already validated them.
I have two other questions that I'm willing to.
I'll ask one in between. In terms of the hours that you fly,
Yeah.
is there any flexibility to work with Chamberlain School to select times in the morning and the afternoon where it might work better for their educational programming?
Such as?
Well, I mean, I don't know what their programming is. If they knew that the planes were always gonna take off, during recess time, because it's recesses at 10, let's say, then perhaps, that could drive when you take off, so you don't have flyovers when all the kids are outside at recess. They're inside,
Yeah, well,
Is that a possibility, or is it just you get your orders and, oh darn it, we're gonna take off at 9:15 because that's what we're told to do?
No, we've worked with the community for years, and when you look at, to frankly, to fit 2 flying periods into a day, there's only so much that you can slip or slide. We don't wanna take off too early, just because we don't wanna, people are sleeping. So, I mean, it really depends what they're asking. Our takeoff times are by design so we can get 2 flying periods in a day, you know, in a normal day, so, we can certainly see what they're asking for, I'm not sure what they're asking for.
Sure, and I don't know what they need either, but maybe that would be some good consensus questions in terms of, you know, potentially the neighborhood wouldn't mind a 7:30 AM takeoff, because most people are up and getting ready
Yeah,
for work.
That's not, no, I mean, that's,
Oh, that can't happen.
yeah, I mean, that's a little early to, you know,
Oh.
yeah. We're not gonna plan, we're not gonna be taking off at 7:30 in the mornings.
Okay.
That's a little, I don't think, it may be great for Chamberlain School, I don't think it's great for, some of the other parts of the community, I don't know. Seems pretty early to me, but, I mean,
Well, I
If
don't
you
know,
have
I mean, that
if you
could be
have-
a
if you have
question
rep-
we ask.
yeah, I mean,
What's your poison? You know, pick your poison. When do you wanna hear this stuff? When do you want your lives, interrupted by it, even though it's a short period of time?
yeah,
I'm just-
we work closely with the
I know.
airport on the noise committee there, and, that's an active group, and, I haven't heard that come up, but,
Huh,
I'm just gonna ask, do you ever allow school children to come out to the base and check out the planes and go?
We
in
do.
the pla- That'd be
Yeah.
great. Alright.
it's trickier with the F-35, honestly, than the F-16, just based on the, technology and the sensitivity, but yeah, we did, but we love it, we love doing tours. Yeah,
The counselors do.
we do.
Alright.
Yeah, we do a lot of, there's a lot of interest in what we do, and I encourage you all to come out, and see, not only flying, we have almost 100 career fields on the base, so, yeah, we're a flying wing, but we have tremendous opportunity and tremendous, work being done by a lot of really talented, really professional men and women.
right? You want to-
Yeah, I know that our question whether or not we could alert the schools, and not just Chamberlain, but there are many preschools also in the area and home care, that is provided in the neighborhoods. And I was following up on a suggestion that, I received in a discussion, so I don't take credit for it, but if we can't know the exact time of takeoffs, could we have a 3-hour window, or 3 hours ahead of time? Could you alert the superintendent or the principal of the school, trusted people who, of course, you know, do not have a direct line to any of our enemies, but people who would say, we need to get the kids inside right now, especially with you know, you're saying we wanna hold back on using afterburner as much as possible. There might be times when you say we're gonna have to use afterburner today. Could you give people just 3 hours notice, we're gonna use afterburner today? Something to, because these children's ears are very delicate. I know from my own experience with my own daughter with the F-16s, we got caught under the flight path and she melted on the ground. I mean, she was in agony. These are little people with little ear canals. And I think that if there is some way to maintain security, but protect the most vulnerable members of our community, I would really like us to explore that. So just following that.
Yeah, I'm not sure what, I've seen some other, thoughts on sirens and, you know, and publishing schedules, and the thing about publishing schedules is, one, you mentioned the operational security piece, we take really seriously, but also things change too, right? I mean, we may have the takeoff scheduled for this time, and we slip it an hour because the people we were flying with had weather, or there's weather in the airspace, or, so, you'd be constantly, having to try and, you know, update people, hey, we're not gonna take off at 10, it's gonna be 11. Certainly if, like I said earlier, if there's a time where we predict, or we're expecting something that's abnormal, whether that's after, you know, like we're planning on more airplanes for an exercise or something, we let people know, so we do that. But all I'll say is if, you know, you're gonna see our takeoff times really consistent. If you look out, if you watch, they're gonna be pretty close every day. From a community perspective, they're gonna be like the F-16, where I think people will get to know when our takeoff times are, and they're really consistent, and we'll let people know when we night fly, and that'll be a shooting takeoff time, but I'm not sure what the method would be to inform of
Or direction you fly, cause what caught us off guard?
well, the direction is, it's not our choice.
Right,
So the direction is strictly driven by what the winds are.
Right.
You know, you always take off with a headwind, so we take off on the active runway, whatever the airlines are landing on, that's where we take off. Only, you know, unless there's something odd, but you just, as wherever the windsock is, and power controls that.